Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Blokes Broadcast podcast. I'm Stephen.
And I'm Dan. Thanks for joining us wherever you're listening from.
Today's episode is one that's close to both of our hearts. We're talking about mental health in Ireland and the UK. Over the past few months, we've seen new plans, new promises, and announcements about improving mental health services. The question that we're asking today is simple: are people actually feeling the difference?
Mental health affects every family in one way or another, whether it's anxiety, depression, loneliness, stress, or suicide. It's something that touches all of our lives.
Dan, this isn't criticising people who are working in the mental health services. We know there are dedicated professionals doing incredible work every day. We're looking at the bigger picture, what's working, what still needs to improve, and what can we do to support each other.
Okay, let's start with Ireland. So Mental Health Ireland has set out a vision that focuses on more on prevention, community support, and helping people before they reach crisis.
And that's something I really welcome. The thing is, we shouldn't be waiting until someone reaches breaking point uh, before, before I suppose, prevention has to become priority.
So there is also ongoing efforts to improve child and adolescent mental health services through TAMS. The aim is to reduce waiting times and make services easier for families to access.
The thing about that, Dan, is it's encouraging, but many families still tell us they're waiting months for appointments when they're watching their child struggle every week. Feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, across the UK, we're seeing similar priorities. There's more focus on community mental health support in schools and helping people, trying to help people earlier.
They're positive steps, but many people are waiting far too long for treatment, and demand continues to grow.
Um, I mean, so while the plan sounds promising, implementation is a real test. Stephen, I know you've spent a few years working in suicide awareness. What's your biggest concern?
To be honest, Dan, the biggest concern, as always, is the lack of waiting times, the lack of support in the community. For example, CAMS have been around many years, um, but I don't think the services are still there to help young people. There's still uh, far too many uh, waiting times, and
Mm,
to me, CAMS is not worth the paper it's written on. Um, especially, I don't know whether you've ever heard of CAMS, but
mhm,
it the system's broken and something does drastically need to change. For me,
yeah.
also, too many people are still feeling alone. Every day, someone is fighting a battle.
Mhm.
Most people don't expect all their problems to disappear overnight. I've learned that mental health isn't just about hospitals or medication, it's about families, workplaces, schools, communities, and we all have a role to play.
I mean, one subject that deserves more attention is men's mental health. Um, I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely. I think that for me, again, men's mental health is the biggest pressure on men at the moment. And I think um, the two lads, is it they were rearrested again?
Hmm.
What's their forget their names?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it, it'll come back to me again. But basically, they were all out there about putting men's masculinity out there. Um, um, like this is how you should speak to a woman. This is how a man should
Ah,
be.
yes.
Um, do you know the two brothers I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Um, anyway, in regards, it'll come back to me, and it'll come back to me after the podcast, which is great. um, but I just think this day and age, just far too much pressure um, around men, and obviously, it doesn't take away around women's and young girls and all that sort of stuff. But the biggest death by suicide is men,
Mm.
and how do we change that? And I suppose it's continued talking about mental health and what we do on this podcast. And I think
Yeah,
it's talking to our sons about mental
yeah,
health and that it's okay to talk. And
yeah,
that's the whole aspect of it. I think growing up, and I've seen so much, um, just in general, when you're out about in public, when you watch teenage boys, like they just think they're the shit, and they think they're all hard, and they they watch these stupid videos on social media
yeah,
about about gang violence, and I'm sure that's a massive thing over in UK, gang violence, especially around London and stuff. We hear on the news every day. But like even deprived areas over here, obviously it would affect young men more, but they just need to calm down.
no, absolutely. Andrew Tate,
Andrew Tate, yes, the biggest
yes,
waste of space next to Donald Trump for me.
yeah, and him who runs Super. Um, sorry. Um, anyway, um, like we know all about, the main struggle of that stigma. We say about that each week, but you know, imagine how many lives could be changed if more men felt comfortable to say that they're not okay. Um, wouldn't you agree? In my, I know in my life, I think touched on this before. So 20 odd years ago, I lost my dad, and my uncle said to me, "Oh, you know, don't don't cry. You've got to be strong for the rest of the year. You're the man of the house now." And that don't sit right with me. It's like, why? This is the thing. If men are, bottling it all up, at one point that bottle's going to explode. Probably not. They need to be able to vent as well, and let their emotions get out. And I think, more men should feel comfortable with saying that they're not okay.
Yeah, I agree. And prime example, my own father this week or last week, sorry. I was actually staying up in Dublin, and my parents came in, and my dad he was in foul humour, and I said, "Man, what's wrong? He's not well."
Mm.
What does not well mean? He goes, "He's after hurting his knee, and he just he won't take time off work." And I was like talking to a child. It's me talking to my dad for a change because he was hobbling, and I said, "Dad, like like you can barely walk." And he goes, "Ah, it'd be grand, it'd be grand." But that's such an Irish saying. It'd be grand when it's actually not grand. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because it took a lot. Pretty much myself and my mother had to gang up with my dad to to go to the hospital, and he was looking for any excuse not to go to the hospital. "Oh, I might be too busy
Mm.
up there." Well, obviously it's gonna be too busy up there. It's A&E. Like, it's not going to be it's not going to be, you're not queuing up to buy something in the shop, like, it's not gonna be so. Um, but the pressure we had to
No,
put on him, to go to the hospital to get his knee checked out. But his
mm,
mentality is everything is grand, and I think I've mentioned it before, like, I have never in my 45 years in this planet known my dad, I never saw my dad cry until, uh, such a point I moved home after my divorce, my separation.
mm,
Um, and I was only a couple of days home, and he came in to talk to me about something different, and I was struggling, and I broke down in tears, and he goes, What's wrong?" And through the whole thing, and I just let everything build up and get to me. And then my
mm,
dad said, "Excuse me," and walked out of the room. And then I went, I better go check him," because he only went into his own bedroom, and I found him crying. And I think that had a bigger impact on me, uh,
Yeah.
s- because I've never seen him cry. I've never seen him get upset.
Never
I've seen
seen
him
him
get
yet.
angry, but I've never seen. And
Mm,
my dad's in his late 60s now, but just to see that, and for him to always say everything is grand, when I suppose
mm,
after, obviously after he calmed down, had the conversation, just said, I just found it hard that after, like, you're you're in your 40s now. He said, you've moved home. I have never seen you that upset, basically. Um, and I suppose it's
mm,
just, again, just goes back to a generation thing. But I just think if more young men can start talking about their feelings more, and it's not about masculinity. It's about actually touching base with yourself. There's nothing wrong. And I
yeah,
posted something there on TikTok about it, going that um just check in with yourself every couple of days. And that means sitting down and actually have a conversation in your head and coming out with it. And
yeah,
that's the only way we're going to start moving forward. But in terms of going back and reflecting on the likes of CAMS and the NHS and the HSC, and yes, more stuff is being done, but I'm sorry, it's not enough. More needs to be done.
mm,
And
yeah,
it's not, there's no quick fix to fixing mental health services. But if they implemented plans now, they keep throwing money at the problem, but the problem's not money. The problem is getting people into the services, as in the medical professionals, to recruit them, because we've a massive shortage at the moment, and that's the
yeah.
problem. So,
I
but
think,
that's my thoughts around it. Anyway, Dan.
yeah, no, I think it's the same in any, it's definitely the same thing. There's not the resources, um, short staff, and yeah, it's same old story. I mean, if we stick to, mental health, obviously it's the mental health, but if we stick to the issues that can sort of play a part in people suffering. I mean, do you think social media has made things harder?
Yes, I do. Again, I just think when it comes to mental health and social media, I think um, people often compare their lives to somebody else um, online, and that is wrong, because I might post a video today, Dan, on social media showing that I'm having the time of my life on holiday somewhere, but I'm
Mm,
actually really struggling. Um,
mhm,
that that's not the true basis of my life. That's not the
no,
true emphasis of what's going on. The true emphasis is
mm,
nobody knows. You look at Facebook, you look at Twitter, you look at um, TikTok, which obviously is the biggest platform out there at the moment. Everybody's on it.
mm,
Everybody watches stuff, and like my son and stuff, they all watch YouTube and they follow up with this. But I genuinely think that if you're struggling with your mental health, I would not go to social media, or I would not
no,
go to Google to find
yeah,
the answer for your struggles. I would go to a professional every day.
mm,
I would go and seek help.
oh,
I would go talk to somebody. Um,
yeah,
my views around mental health and social media in general, I've made my views very clear over many episodes in this podcast. But I just think we need to be very mindful about what we're watching online as well.
yeah. Social media can really, really deceive you. I mean, I've done it a couple of times now. I don't know if you remember a few years back, probably going on for 10 years, Stephen. Um, I found a picture of a garden in a magazine. It looked really nice. Really nice picture. And I thought, oh, I wonder if I could take a picture of that and make it look like it's mine. And I could, and I put it out on Facebook. And the amount of people I fooled, I didn't fool you, uh, but I fooled a lot of people. And another time before that, no, after that, I thought, well, I'm bored. I'm going to pretend I've gone somewhere in the world, because on Facebook you can put you can actually put that you're in Texas and you can change your location so
Yes,
it's legitimate.
yes, yeah, yeah,
I've done that and I did it, and I remember doing it and saying I'm staying at this hotel now. Unbeknown to me, obviously, I know she lives out there. I have a friend who I used to work with this girl many years ago, and she moved out to America, and she works in the hotel industry. It just so happens I picked the hotel that she's working at, and then she messaged to me and said, "Oh, you're staying at the hotel I work at." I'm not really there. So it you know, um, basically, don't believe everything you see on social media.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, I mean, what do you think with regards? I mean, if we look at mental health and things that need to change, if you could change three things tomorrow, please, and what would it be?
If I could change three things tomorrow around mental health, it would obviously be investment in further education in schools. That's where it starts. Educating parents more. Obviously goes hand in hand with education. Reduce waiting times, but again, I don't know how you fix that because the systems that we have here in Ireland are just not working. And because there was I came across a story there online only a couple of days ago where a guy had presented himself uh, at A&E with suicidal ideation, um, and they actually put him in a room by himself, and he wasn't being checked on a regular basis. And the tragic end was that person lost their lives to suicide, um, because the system is not there. Like if you present to A&E, and I get, I'm quite open about my own stuff. But like I remember when I presented to A&E feeling suicidal. I remember I'd been with my GP. My GP gave me that. I went to A&E. But I have to say, um, the staff in general were fantastic. They were because I was brought in. I was made sit beside the nurses station, so I was constantly being watched, um, which is great. But like all the nurse, all the nurses can do is keep an eye on you. They can't um they
Mm,
can't be there all the time. They can't really advise you until you see somebody within the mental health team within the hospital um
mm,
I was in. But it was 12 hours later I saw uh, a doctor who actually wasn't even a part of the mental health team. He was a registrar who for me, didn't really understand, not saying understand anything about
got
mental
you.
health, but what I was going through. And I'm not saying he really has to understand, but like this guy had no experience. He was a registrar. He wasn't from the mental health team. I was brought into a private room. He asked me what's going on. I told him how I was feeling. And the outcome was, that doctor said to me, uh, "Have you got a plan?" And that's something. If somebody says to you, "I'm feeling suicidal," I bet it's one of the first things you ask. Do you have a plan?
Mm,
Um, and I did have a plan. I did. And the doctor said to me, he said at the end of the conversation, it was 10 minutes less. And that doctor said to me, "Well, if you plan to commit suicide, sure, come back into us here in the hospital and we'll keep you in."
mm,
And I just sat there in absolutely shock, going, "I'm just telling you, I'm going to commit suicide. I'm asking for your help." And your answer to that was, "If I am going to kill myself, sure, come back in and we'll keep you in." And it just, the system is broken in so many ways. But again, I cannot fault the staff that are on the ground because they're not just looking after people with mental health issues. They're looking after people with broken arms and other serious conditions like that. And I'm not saying mental health is not a serious condition. Absolutely is.
mm,
But I just think uh, if those fundamental things need to be sorted. And I suppose that education and yeah, just keep pounding the message. Like again, we Dan, we talk about mental health to beat the bands on this podcast. Um, and I suppose if the message hits home, because we don't know, we don't really know. We know where in the world people are listening to our podcast, but we don't know if people are actually taking on board what we're saying. We're not giving advice.
Yeah.
We can't give them medical advice, but we can um we can share our own experiences around mental health, and we can talk about mental health
Yeah.
and the impact it has on our own personal lives and our families and all that sort of stuff. Um,
And people can reach out to us, and we can point them in the right direction, even if it's someone not listening within the UK and Ireland, we can help point people in the right direction. Um, that's that first step for someone. So if they're struggling, you know, it doesn't have to be us. It can be anyone, just about anyone, and that they will, hopefully help. Hopefully, be that you know person who can, you know, point you make it better, and hopefully, in a lot of cases, save people's lives. Um, that's one thing I think has to be encouraged, that saying a problem shared is a problem halved, a little bit more weight off your shoulders. Hopefully this does go a little way um, to kind of help people.
and
And what I
I have had people reach out to me via Suicide Awareness Ireland,
mm,
and I have pointed them to the right direction. And if you are listening to the podcast with myself and Dan, yes, we do have a laugh. Obviously, we talk about mental health and stuff like that, but like, send us an email. Just reach out to
mm,
us. Send us a message via social media. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Um, and
we're
we'll
on YouTube now, so
we're on YouTube as well. So reach out whatever way necessary. Myself and Dan will obviously, one of us will respond to you um within 24 hours of receiving your message. And we'll have that conversation with you. We'll even pick up the phone and have a conversation with you, and then try and point you in the right direction. Please just don't sit at home wondering there's no hope, there's no help, um, there's no way out, because trust me, I have and Dan's been there as well. We have been at the lowest points in our lives, and we managed to to get ourselves out of that hole, that dark place where nobody ever wants to go, and come out the other
no,
side and
yeah,
talk about it.
and no one's saying you're gonna, it's not like an instant cure, because it's like I still have my day. I think it's probably one of the reasons we stopped and had a break last year is because I was struggling. Um, but yeah, mm, like there is hope. Like there is hope. Um, I mean, I would say, Stephen, like with regards to mental health, are things moving in the right direction? I mean, if they are, they're going very slowly.
Yeah, they are. They are moving in the right direction, but they're moving too slowly for me. Um, Again, I think we are in Northern UK. The mental health services deserve greater attention, and that's positive. However, there are families struggling, and families don't know where to go, or what services are in their local area. Um, but I can't. I'm not. I sometimes, and I reflect on this myself. I do sometimes come across a little bit too negative to mental health services in Ireland and in the UK. However, there are there are organisations out there that, again, and we've highlighted it, do great work around mental health. The nurses in our A&E, our mental health professionals, all do fantastic work. But
Mm.
I suppose if you've never if you've never been affected by mental health by somebody in your family and stuff, it is a struggle. And if you're a family member who's sorry, if you're a family member, their family member is struggling and you don't know what to do, is the best piece of advice I can give that person is you're not going to be able to fix them. You can't fix them. You they're not if they're struggling, they're not looking for you to fix them. They're looking for you to listen to them. And that's all they're doing. They're doing. They're telling you they're struggling and they're looking for help. That doesn't mean they're putting all that pressure on you to seek that help. Um, but I would obviously encourage the person that's struggling is just listen to them. Um, bring them to your doctor, or bring them to if you're in a position to encourage them to go to counselling. I would. Counselling is very affordable these days. There's plenty of organisations out there that um there's plenty of organisations out there that are offering low cost counselling services. And if you need help and if you let us know where you are, we will point you in the right direction. But
Yeah,
as I said, sorry, my apologies there.
no,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say in relation to that as well. If you're listening and you know someone who you think you just even ask, ask simply ask if they're okay. Um, you know that or a phone call. You know, you more than you need. That might be the first time someone's actually asked if they're okay. You, you might send a line.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Um, I suppose we'd switch to a bit of a lighter note. Um, the World Cup, Dan.
The World Cup, yeah. That
In
was
general,
interesting.
are you happy with the performance of the English team?
Do you know, um, I'm not. I'm happy where we got to. I mean, it might shock people, but it's our best finish since 1952. One thing that really bugs me is everyone was praising Thomas Tuchel um, prior to us being knocked out, and um, then you know, if you get knocked out, everyone's um, sort of um, slating him. Now, yes, he did make a big mistake in the Argentina game by bringing on defensive players straight after he scored, and then also he just did a break. No one was on message. Um, what? Yeah, and then um, how we played against France in the playoff match, or the bronze final, as it's now called. Um, Obviously 4-0 up, but then our defence then concedes goals, and then we're sort of there's one goal between us. But overall, I'm happy. We did, you know, Tuchel didn't get where he was supposed to, but he's done one better than anyone else. Who knows? In 2 years' time, we could be European champions. What about you,
No,
Stephen? How did
I think no, I think in fairness to the English team, they had a really good campaign. They really did. As you said, Thomas Tuchel. Um, yeah, you can criticize criticize him for his choices against Argentina, as you said, defensively. But you know what? Overall, it's his first World Cup in charge of the English team, and he's brought them
Yeah,
to a semi-final.
yeah,
Like, I wouldn't call that. I wouldn't call that unsuccessful. They didn't obviously get to the final. They got,
unsuc
it-
yeah,
and in fairness,
unsuccessful.
some of exactly, and in fairness, some of their performances were actually really good.
Mm,
Some of the football and Bellingham,
Jude, Jude Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham, sorry.
Hey,
Um,
Jude. So,
I think he was the best performing player for the English team for the tournament.
oh, absolutely, without a doubt, without a doubt. Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I think you know. I was going to say something. Look how we played against Mexico with 10 men. I didn't think we'd win that. I thought we'd go out then because we're playing at altitude. No team Mexico had only ever lost twice in that stadium within in however many years. Um, yeah, I think overall we did okay. I am glad Spain won on Sunday, because to be honest, I don't like Argentina. Um, as a football team, I don't like Argentina. I have to say, so people, Argentinians haven't got a problem with him. It's the Argentina football team. Um,
I actually
but
think the Spanish played the best football out of the whole tournament. Just the way they pass the ball and move
eh,
is
only
phenomenal
conceded
to watch.
only conceded one goal.
Yep.
Mm. We could do that. Yeah, that is just amazing. But as I say, roll on the Euros. You might have a
Oh,
chance.
yeah. Who? England or Ireland?
Well, Ireland.
Yeah. Um, I'll yeah, I'll have a yeah. I'll resent judgment on that once the tournament comes around.
Probably best, really. Probably
Yeah,
best. Um,
but how was your weekend, Dan? Sorry, I forgot to ask at the start.
my weekend. Yeah. Not really, didn't really do much, at all. Um, and it seems like ages away, even though it was, um, a couple of days away. Yeah, can't really remember. Um, but I saw my mum on Sunday, she came over, um, and, um, yeah, that's about it. No football at the minute. Um, tournament wise, as in for grassroots, none of that. Um, yeah, didn't really do anything.
I suppose if you compare
You,
yourself to Thomas Tuchel, you actually fared far worse off as as uh,
well,
as a manager.
I got the team in my first tournament to the semi-finals as well. Um, and then we crashed after that. In every other tournament. But yeah, I can't. Do you know? I can't think of what I did at the weekend. What did you get up to? How was your weekend?
Nothing, Dad. I did absolutely nothing.
You you
I
sound
uh,
exciting, don't you?
no, it was just isn't you just somebody we all lead busy lives of work and everything else, and we're always on the go. But it's just nice to have a weekend where uh, you don't have anything to do.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think Sunday was probably really nice because the weather's been still fantastic. So myself and Caroline, my partner, just went for a walk in parts of Kilkenny. They've done like a new boardwalk thing down by the river. And I've never, 5 years living in Kilkenny, I've never been down that way, but it was actually nice. Went for a walk, went for a bite to eat, and went and watched the All Ireland final in a pub and had a couple of points, and it was nice.
Do you know, I always think of South Park when you say Kilkenny.
Why?
I'll cut that bit out. Why? Because he killed Kenny. Sorry.
Okay. Really bad joke, that. Really bad joke.
Can tell him my dad.
Did you hear about the company that created Django?
Jenga, do you mean?
Django, you know the game Django?
Jenga.
Jenga, sorry. That's a fucking disaster. You can cut this out as well. Do you know the company who created Jenga?
Yeah.
They collapsed.
Yeah. What's Michael Jackson's favourite drink?
Go on.
We win.
Anyway, actually, one thing's come to light, Dan. We had agreed to record the podcast on a Monday night going forward because we couldn't do it on a Tuesday. And what happens? I get a text off Dan going, actually, why did we do it tomorrow night? So we are sitting here tonight on a Tuesday at 9:50 in the evening. That's exactly Mondays. So in future, we will not be mentioning the nights we are going to record. We'll have a podcast ready to go out once a week going forward, and it doesn't matter what the day is. But no, tonight. Listen, I think overall, the general consensus around our main topic around mental health has been quite positive, and quite constructive about where we need to be and what we need to do. But I again put it out there Dan gets all the reports every week of where people are listening to, and he sends them out to myself, and it's great to see that the podcast is not just being listened to in the UK and Ireland, being listened to in the US, Japan, China, France, Italy. So we just want to say thank you so much. As I said, we're just two ordinary guys. We both have full-time jobs. We both have families. And we take the time every week just to come on, talk about mental health and talk about everything else that goes on around the world and everything else within our lives. So I just want to say thank you very much to everybody.
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, it's been great. As Stephen said, basically, we just do ordinary guys. We tell silly jokes every now and again, but yeah, we will see you next week. Could be a Monday, could be a Tuesday, whatever day, no, but we will be back next week. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.
See you next week, everybody.